Hi, my name is Carrie Barnum. I am the Executive Director for New Shelves Books, and this is Free Advice Fridays. The time every week at 10 a.m. Eastern, we get together to answer your questions. Book marketing, publishing, writing. We're here to just talk it through to learn from each other, and that's what we do. We take questions live or we take them emailed in at questions with an S at the end at freeadvicefridays with an S at the end.com. So without further ado, let's get started. Just a reminder that if you are typing in questions on the live Zoom, please type them in the Q&A box because I get a lot of chats going on. And if you type it in the chat question box, sometimes I miss them and I don't want to miss your question. But let's start here with Tanya. Tanya said, this is a big win for me and a question. I've been invited to do a Zoom book talk with the library. This will be my first, and they have asked me what I charge for a book talk. An online search offered little, and I was wondering if you have any recommendations. Tanya, I usually recommend that you look at the area you're in. Is this a small library? Is this a big library? Are you doing like a book chat as a fiction author, or are you doing a nonfiction class where you're actually teaching people something? If you have a nonfiction book on taxes and you're giving a tax prep class, I would expect to charge a little bit more. Whereas if you are just, but if you're a fiction author and you're more doing a book club, it would be a little bit less typically because you're not teaching something. You're just going there to read and enjoy your time. I would also be asking the library if they're willing to promote your book and your book sales links. So if you are going to be able to promote your book, encourage people to go buy it, you can make money that way, and so you can charge a little bit less. But what I'm seeing as a standard for most authors for Zoom webinars and links, that kind of thing for libraries, if it's going to be a half hour to an hour, I'm seeing most people are charging $50 to $150. Again, if you're nonfiction, if you're teaching a specific class, that might be a little bit different, but as a range, that's what I'm seeing from most authors that I hear from and work with. Let's see. And David, I am seeing you say that you are frustrated by barcode price on the cover. Let me know, drop it in the chat or in the questions box. What's frustrating? Is it getting the price in the barcode? Is it changing it? What's your pain point there? And let's see if we can maybe help out. I'm not a designer and then having to update it. Well, doing a priced barcode is actually not that hard if you have access to Adobe. If you do, it can actually be pretty easy. If you go to the New Shelves YouTube, it's youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. I actually did a video where you can make your own price barcode and put it onto your cover. I am no designer, but if you have Adobe, it's fairly easy and you can do it in about 10 minutes or less. So that might help. Watch it through, and then if you have questions still, let me know. But that might be helpful because I do walk you through each step and I show you what it looks like as I go. Yeah, and Bob's saying half of the Zooms and things he did last year were free, which is true. Many times authors will do free Zooms, book discussions, but if they're asking you for a price, if they've already booked you or said they want to have you and they're asking you for a price, sometimes they will not accept free. I've seen that as well. So take that as it comes, I think. All right, we've got more questions coming in here. All right, we're starting to publish more series. When is the right time to request an ISSN? I'm going to freely admit, I'm not fully aware of what an ISSN is off the top of my head, Tara, so fill me in. I could be blanking or I could just not know, but let me know and we'll walk it through. All right. And Jacqueline's saying, I was told by Amazon this week that I couldn't put pictures on my Amazon book page, like Ina Garten's page for her new book, for her new cookbook. I had to be invited into some kind of advantage club. What's with that? Totally true. I just talked to one of my authors about this because he was so excited. He wanted to do these graphics and put it up like Ready Player 2. And the truth is that they are not putting their books up through KDP. The big publishers have a very robust account called an Amazon Advantage account. It's something you pay for to get access to. It's where you can put books up for sale. It's kind of like Seller Central, but on steroids. And it used to be something that pretty much anyone could get, but they have phased that out. Now it's invitation only. But really what it is they're setting up a seller page more than going through KDP as an author or a publisher. And that's why they have special availability. And it is very hard now, to my understanding, to get an Advantage account. I know New Shelves has had one for years because, of course, we used to be a book distribution company. But as far as getting one now, it's very hard. Kind of stinks. But if you've got images, consider putting them up on your Author Central page. If you've got book trailer videos, you can upload those to your sales page as well as your Author Central page. So we don't have all the same availability, but at least we can work things in where we can. It does stink though. It'd be awesome if we could all do that and put graphics and things on the page. All right. Do you have any advice or suggestions regarding claiming your knowledge badge when you do a search in Google, Bing, etc.? Say for your publishing brand or author name. Is it better to set up SEO on your author page, claim that knowledge badge, or both? Do you have any experience with this? SEO is not my best friend. I'm learning, but I do know that when you are setting up SEO, it's always great to connect that to your website. Your website is your home online. So I would most definitely do that. Anything else beyond an SEO for Google and for websites is not my specialty. So I won't give much advice there. If anyone else has more knowledge than me, feel free to jump in the chat, because that's what we do. We learn from each other, and I love it. All right. Let me see. I have Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. What is going on with them saying they no longer support it? Then I learned there's an Adobe Acrobat Pro out there. Is there a cost to get the Pro account? What is going on? Yes, there is a free Adobe account, and then there is a paid Adobe account where you have more access to tools and whatnot. If Adobe Acrobat Reader is changing, I don't know that. We have the paid account here because we use it so much to update and change things. So as far as that goes, I'm not quite sure, Vicki. It may just be that your version needs to be updated or certain programs aren't working with it. The Pro account does allow you to make edits and comments, and there are a lot of benefits to it. If you use it often, some people I know will get the Adobe paid subscription when they're working on a manuscript, when they're actively using it, and then get rid of it when they're not, because they don't use it afterwards very often. So it just depends on your needs. Let me see over here. And I love this. So Tara has been in the chat talking about the ISSN, which is actually, I thought you were talking about some special ISBN for a series as well, but an ISSN is actually an International Standard Serial Number, and it's typically used for magazines, journals, periodicals, etc. So Tara asked the question and then answered it because she's just that awesome. And now we all know an ISSN is more for magazines and journals and the like. Yes. If you are buying ISBNs, this was a question that showed up in a book group that I'm in this morning. How many ISBNs do you need? Well, typically, if you're purchasing your book, I recommend that you buy the pack of 10 ISBNs from Bowker. You can find Bowker at myidentifiers.com. And if you go there, you buy your pack of 10 ISBNs, and keep in mind you will need one ISBN for every format, one for your ebook. This can be used on KDP for your Kindle book. It can also be used on Draft to Digital or Ingram Spark to get your ebook distributed out everywhere else. So one ISBN for your ebook, one ISBN for your paperback. That gets used everywhere as well, KDP and Ingram Spark. Then you've got one ISBN for your hardcover if you are doing a hardcover, and one ISBN for your audiobook if you're doing an audiobook. So the average book could have up to 4 ISBNs. Absolutely, for sure. What you do not want to do, I don't care who tells you to do it, what you do not want to do is get multiple ISBNs. You don't need an ISBN for KDP and another one for Ingram Spark for your paperback. Use the same one on all channels and all platforms. That's the way that we track your book. And if you've got multiple ISBNs out there, it's kind of like having someone steal your social security number and then use it. You've got multiple things going out in different places, and it's very confusing. Let me see. Do you have to copyright each format of your book, paper book, hardback, ebook? Typically, Diane, you are copyrighting your manuscript. So no, I mean, it's all kind of blanket covers because you're copyrighting the material and the manuscript. You're not copyrighting that specific format per se. I am thinking of putting together a low-cost ebook PDF for paid download. Are there any sites where I can send people to buy it so I don't have to set up a credit card function on my website? Absolutely. BookFunnel does this. BookFunnel has buying options where you can accept payment through their platform, I believe. So you may look into that. And another way that I see many people do this is that they connect it to PayPal, to where you have PayPal access, and it comes in through that way. So if you are looking to sell your book, an ebook in particular, and you want to sell it on your website, but you don't want to set up a whole store, you know, pay credit card fees and all of that, you can use PayPal. And I know BookFunnel has a sale function now, and I'm like 99% sure you can set that up for your own personal sales, and it's probably connected to PayPal. So check those two out if you're trying to do that. Let's see. Where is the best place to build your own website? Well, Tenzi, I think that depends on you and what you like. At New Shelves, we use WordPress. Wix, W-I-X, is a very popular one because it's kind of like a landing page. It's easy to build. It's fairly inexpensive. It's basic, but if you don't need anything crazy, then Wix can be great. And again, it's very inexpensive. So that's where I'm seeing a lot of people go to. Or if you like WordPress, then you do WordPress. So you host your page with one place and then you build it with a WordPress template. As far as hosting, there's Bluehost, there is HostGator, there's GoDaddy, there's so many different ones. We are actually, great time to say, over at New Shelves, we are going to be transferring our stuff over to a different platform. We're going to be moving to HostGator, which we are so excited about, but it will mean that our website and our emails are down for a couple days this coming week. We are expecting it, I believe, the 9th and the 10th, if that is, let me double check. 10th and the 11th. So Wednesday and Thursday of this coming week, the 10th and the 11th, the New Shelves website and our emails may be down as we are migrating over. Random, but that's what brought it up. So as far as building your website, depends on you. But Wix might be a great place to start, or if you're more advanced, WordPress, and then you're hosting through someone. Yeah, Caroline's asking, how do I get my book listed in WorldCat? And worldcat.org is a site where we can find our books. We can search our books and see what libraries are carrying them. It's like a cataloging system. And so if you want your book listed in the WorldCat system so you can see where they're being carried, you typically would get a cataloging librarian to take care of that. That's what we talk about when we talk about getting a PCIP block. So for a PCIP block, when you are getting that done, a good cataloger, cataloging librarian will take care of that for you. I personally recommend the Donahue Group. They are fantastic, and we use them for all of our PCIPs and to get into the WorldCat system. Let's see. And actually, let's see if we can look at the WorldCat system. Why not, right? All right, let's go here. Let's take a look at the WorldCat system. So we talk about this a lot. And if you go to worldcat.org, anyone can access this. This is not something that is hidden or hard to find. Anyone can access this. And if we are going to look, let's see, I know Tara has an author by the name of Marie Ruggles, and she's got a book out. So look, we can find that book here. And we can see where it's being cataloged at. So we can see that there are 2 places that are showing the catalog right now. I can also track through the author and see if they have other books. And then of course, this is just what they're showing, not necessarily that it's a perfect fit, but it's a cataloging system. We can also do, let's do Hank Philippi Ryan. We love her. Oops, look, oopsie. We love Hank here. And so we're going to look her up and let's look at her books. And this is, again, a system that librarians catalog. And so they're telling us that the book is here. Not only that, but they're telling us what books there are. I'm going to open up my chat in case you guys are messaging. All right, so we can check out the book and say, okay, what book is it? Here it is. And what libraries? This tells me all the libraries close to me that are carrying it. And you can see that there are 250 libraries cataloging this book. Do keep in mind that if you are watching the, if you're watching this and trying to see who's stocking your book, they do not catalog your book right away. It can take months. So if you've been reaching out to libraries and maybe they say your book is in stock and that they are going to put it on their shelves in a library, no, that doesn't mean it immediately go into WorldCat. Not every librarian even catalogs that way. Most of them do, so it's a fun way to kind of track. But it does take a while, so don't get discouraged. And of course, I clicked on the library and it takes me right to that listing on their website, tells me it's available. So it's a cool site. Also, if you are looking for a book and you want to see if it's in stock near you, but it's also a fun way to track your own books as well. Yep, and Caroline's saying BookFunnel works with PayPal, Stripe, etc., and also WooCommerce for payment on your own site. So that's good to know. Thank you for confirming that, Caroline. All right. Why is WorldCat missing so many cover images? That's a fantastic question. So Tara, when you do cover images, these are uploaded to WorldCat from Bowker. They are uploaded from the agency. However, this does not happen all the time. They will do updates in batches, but it can take quite a while for them to do that. And I have heard they are desperately behind. It's just not top priority with lowered staff and people being home over the last year. Gosh, it's been a year. But so they're just behind. And so they do update that system and it updates from Bowker or from the agency. And so that's where it is. If your book cover is not in WorldCat, make sure it is updated on Bowker. So next time they do those updates and they catch your book, that it gets updated with you. Yeah, and Tenzi's got a follow-up question about websites, asking if it's better to hire out or have someone build it for you. And Tenzi, that depends on you and your comfort, your willingness to put the time into it. I've heard that especially websites like Wix are easy to build, but if you get easily frustrated by working with technology or it's just not your thing, again, you weigh your time versus your money and you decide which one's more important, and also your frustration levels. Are you going to be able to do it and do it well? Would it be worth it to pay someone to not have to deal with it? And that's a personal question that I can't answer for you. You may be super tech savvy, in which case you could go and do it in an afternoon. That could not be the case, and it could take a really long time. So just keep that in mind. Yes, Donahue Group is who I recommend to get a PCIP, and they do catalog your book into the WorldCat system. Donahue Group they do PCIPs and CIPs, and they're a cataloging librarian to do that for you so you can put it into your book before you sell it, which makes it easier for the library you're selling it into to get it cataloged easily and quickly. So definitely a value added feature. And Terry's just put the website up in the chat, which is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, same thing, David, with the updated cover. It goes through Bowker. And to my understanding, that's the only way to do it. You can't even go back to a cataloging librarian. Last I asked. And that's great. Caroline, if you have a recommendation for a designer for websites, if you let us know who, that would be great. Let's see. We covered that one. And again, if you've got questions, if you could put them in the Q&A box, that's so helpful. The chat tends to go through very quickly, and I miss things every once in a while. I try to check back, but all right, let me see here. All right, we had a question. Whoops, trying to exit out of my whole thing here. We had a question this week about where do you find free images for use online for your blog, that kind of thing. You can get them from a couple of places. If you have a Canva Pro account, they do have licensed images that you are able to use. If you go to Pixabay, Pixaby, they have free images that you can use. And if you're looking for an image that is something you want to use for a book, that kind of thing, iStock Photo is a great place. And those are kind of my three go-to places to look for stock imaging. Some you have to pay for, some you don't. The higher quality images you typically have to pay for, and a lot of them, when you buy it, you have the option to buy it for non-monetary use, for monetary use. I mean, you do have to look at the details there to make sure that you are using it appropriately, because just because you paid for it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want with it. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Randy, if you happen to be on the chat, I know you are because I'm stalking over on the other thing. You had sent me in a question about Amazon, and I would love to look at that for you if you approve my login. So I tried that. If you can get into that, let me know. We can take a look at your ads for follow-up. All right. Yeah, this is good. Julia, I'm becoming concerned about how discounted all books are becoming on sites. We are barely making $2 for each book. Now we are competing with $1.99 books, and we will be losing money. Let's talk about ebooks and ebook pricing. We are seeing a growing number of books, especially ebooks, that are running at a super discounted price. The average bestseller on Kindle in a lot of categories, especially mystery, romance, anything in that kind of genre, most of those books are 99 cents, $1.99, sometimes $2.99, and that's becoming absolutely a growing trend. And I don't think that's going to change, because what's happening is the people who are doing that are people who are putting out high volume books. Many of them are on KDP Select, so they are counting on the page reads more than the outright sales. But when they combine their page reads for Kindle Select and Kindle Unlimited, plus the $99, $199, $299, they're making it to the bestseller list, and then they're staying there. Where does that leave everyone else? You know, the people who have worked really hard on their book, it's something that took them a while to write, and then they don't want to sell their book at $1.99, $2.99. And I think that's a difficult question. I think that we do have to look at our readers. We have to look at who's buying the book, what kind of reader they are. You can charge more for nonfiction. Why? Because people tend to reference back on nonfiction. They also, for nonfiction, especially if it's a how-to or something like that, they are reading it more slowly. Whereas I can sit down with a romance novel or a mystery and read it in, a couple of hours. If it's a nonfiction how-to, I'm going to take longer. So to me, it's got a little bit more skin in the game for paying more money. And I'm not buying how-to books too often. I'm not going through one a day. I might go through one in a month or two if I'm looking for a specific topic. For fiction authors, we tend to see, again, romance, mystery, thrillers they're cheap. And that's because people are reading them a lot. And then when people who have a great product, who've worked really hard, are trying to charge $6.99, $9.99 or higher for their books, especially if they're not with the traditional publishers, they're not really being bought. I don't know that we can change that. I hate that, but the value market has worked so that people who have large number of books are driving the price down. And if we want to compete, sometimes we have to go within that market. Now where you are going to make more of your money is going to be in your paperback, if you're selling that, or in volume. And that's what these people are doing. They're making their money in volume over per the book. Because if you are selling your book for $9.99, but you're only selling 10 copies, you're making less money than the person who's selling their book for $1.99 and selling 100 copies. So I think it's a rock meets hard place, and authors are just right in the middle. You want people to value the work that you've worked really hard for and on, and that makes perfect sense. And you want to charge a fee that pays you for that work. But at the same time, you're competing with a market that doesn't really allow that. So I think you have to play with your market. You have to know who your audience is and what they're willing to pay for your work, and try pricing strategies. You guys, it's perfectly fine to change your ebook price from time to time. You can try a month at $6.99 and see if it sells. Then go to $5.99 and see if it sells. See the difference. How much were you advertising? And mostly what I'm finding for indie authors is that if you're not willing to go to the really low price of $1.99, that kind of thing, $4.99 or $6.99 tend to be the hot prices where people are still buying books, but it's not, you're not giving it away. And that is for fiction. For nonfiction, I'm seeing closer to $6.99 or $9.99, depending on the nonfiction. Not memoir, but if we're looking at how-to, business, that kind of thing. And it's a conundrum. We've been watching this happen in the market for a while, and as self-publishing has gotten easier and people can put out books so much more quickly, keep in mind a traditional publisher is going to take 18 to 36 months to get a book out. So yeah, they want you to pay for that book. It took a lot of time and money and effort. Whereas then you've got indie authors who can, some of them, man, they are machines, and they're putting out a book every 3 months. And so it's different. It's just a different market, and I don't think that's going to change. Let me see. I am looking over here. And again, if you have questions, drop them in the Q&A. I'm going to check on something, and we might go live in just a minute. All right. So we have Randy, who has very graciously allowed us to set up ads in his ad campaign, so that we can watch and that we could check his ads. We did that not long ago, where we were setting up ads, and we did that live. And so he's going to allow us to now look at those ads to see what's been going on with them. It's been a couple of weeks, so let's check it out. I'm going to share the screen. All right. So here we can see Randy's ad. This is the Free Advice Friday example that we set up, oh gosh, 3 weeks ago. And if you have questions as we walk through, drop them in the chat or the Q&A, and I will address them as we go. All right, so this ad is actually moved fairly slow, but let's take a look at the results and what we're seeing. We haven't had any sales. Here we go. I like to look at all the stats at one time. So this is what I'm looking at. Impressions. Impressions is how many times a book is seen on the screen. So we've gotten quite a few impressions, over 40,000, which is good. But of that, only 15 clicks. So I'm going to use my calculator, which is my phone, because I don't math in my head. That's dangerous. And I'm going to take the number of impressions, which is 40,651, divided by the clicks. And that's 15 clicks, meaning that for every 2,710 impressions, we're only getting 1 click. I like to see this higher, to be honest. I usually like to see 1 click in every 1,500. My first question and my first thought is to wonder if my keywords were on point. Because if they're not, if I'm getting people to see the book, but they're not on point for the audience, then it wouldn't get clicks. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at in my mind. I would also be evaluating my cover to see if the cover is intriguing and pulling people in. So those are the 2 things I look at, if I'm getting impressions but not clicks. Then we look at clicks to sales. And clicks to sales, or click to order ratio, we generally look for 1 in 10. And when we're looking at this 1 in 10, we're kind of trying to see if people are ordering. If they're not, I'm looking at what's happening on my page. Is it my sales copy? Is it I was targeting the wrong audience, which may be based on impressions to clicks? Was I targeting the wrong audience? And because of that, when I got clicks over, it wasn't the book that they wanted because I had the wrong audience. Or is it my marketing copy? Can I spice it up? Is it my price? Is there something there that I can work on? And this is what I really like, is that as you are looking at this, it's giving you ideas of what you can improve. How can I make things a little bit better? How can I see if I'm targeting my audience? Or if I'm targeting my audience well and I'm getting those clicks, how can I improve it? And so that's what I like about this, is that it's not just an ad. We can see we spent $3.60. I say we, but it was Randy. Thanks, Randy. But all right, we spent the money. How can we make that go further? Even if I had 5 orders, I'd be wondering, how can I make it better? And that is why it's so important to look at this and see what's working and what's not working. And part of that is not only looking at not only just looking at the stats of your ad, but it's also important to see what is getting you impressions and what is getting you clicks. And the way to find that out when you're in your ad is to go to your targeting. And over here on my targeting, they've got these handy dandy columns where I can see the clicks and the spend and all of that. So I'm going to click here and make it so my clicks come up top and it's organized by clicks. So let's take our keyword so I can see it a little better. All right. So things that are getting clicks: beauty, death, all in all, books on grief, Breathe Again, Citizen, Claudia Rankine, David White, Tennessee Williams. So some of these I'm seeing not as many poets as you would think. So Cocktails, it is a bar poem thing, so that makes sense. 2 a.m. Thoughts can kind of fit in there, Tennessee Williams. So some of these I'm noticing that maybe we've got too many general topics and not enough poets that we're actually comparing to, which would be on the audience. That would be on the keywords, not on the book itself, which tells me, hey, I need to go find my comp authors and my comp titles, and I need to be pulling more of those to put in here. But I'm also going to look at my impressions because I want to see what's getting my book seen. Well, all in all, death is a big one. Courtney Peppernell, let's see. Charles Bukowski, which is good. So some of these are good. We'll bleep out the expletive there. Atticus, so we can see what's kind of getting us a lift and what's not. And that's good to know as well, because we need to know what people are looking for and searching that may be a good comp. Maybe it's a great comp and it's getting our book seen, but it's just not getting clicks. That's good to know as well, because if you want your book bought, you first have to get it seen. So what I would be doing here to improve this ad and to keep moving forward would to say, all right, I need to be looking for better comps and I need to be pulling those keywords and I need to add them in and see how they perform. And then I would let it, run its course and try again. And that is part of what this is all about. You probably won't hit a home run right out of the park. Keywords are something that takes a while to try. You have to be able to be willing to try and to do different things to learn from it and continue on if you want to run good Amazon ads. Typically, it takes me anywhere from a month to 3 months to get a really good feel on keyword list to see what's selling a book. And so I think it's really important that you realize that it's not something that, oh my gosh, I didn't sell the first time, my book's useless, I should never do it again. That's just silly. I actually recently had someone say that, and I kind of compared it to being on a diet. If I was saying, hey, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to work out, I worked out for 3 days and I didn't lose any weight and I'm just going to give up because I'm done and it doesn't work and it's stupid. You would probably look at me and say, number one, well, don't say calm down, ever. Don't say calm down to an upset person. But you would probably say, don't give up. You just started. You've got to keep going. And the same is true with book marketing. You really have to try for a little bit before you can hone in on what works and what doesn't work. It takes a while. So give yourself grace, look for the wins, but also look for ways to improve and find your target in your market. And Randy, since you were so gracious to do that, I will gladly help you do that. So we'll get together and we'll see about getting some more keywords for you and working together if you would like. And Tenzi's asking, how long do I run an ad campaign? Ad campaigns, typically I'll run for a week or two while I'm trying things out. And then once I get them running and they're profitable and they're working well, I set them at least for a month at a time. It totally just depends on what's working. I have a book right now that I'm working on for a client, and we've got his ACOS hovering between, which is actual cost of sale, hovering between 2 to 3%. That's a freaking awesome ad. And so we continue using that. I'm not messing with it. It's not broke, don't fix it. And so that ad we continue running, it's performing, and so that just makes sense. But if it's an ad that's maybe not performing great, I might take a break and restart. Just depends as you go along. And that's the thing with marketing, is that so many people want a formula of what works. But the truth is that unlike math, where there is one right answer, Many ways to get there, but one right answer. With marketing, there are many right answers, and sometimes the right answer depends on your goal. You may not care if you're actually making a profit on your book. You care how many people are seeing your book because that's your goal and you're trying to build your platform. You may not care how much you sell as long as you're not losing money. It totally depends on you and your goals. And that is why it's so hard with marketing, because it's a process that you really have to work through and work on to get the result that you want. And with marketing, when you stop, your sales stop. It's just how it is. It takes a while to build up that snowball effect to where you are running downhill and it's building steam. And you have to keep working at it and you have to keep adjusting. Caroline, I did say 3% ACOS, and I'm very proud of that one. It's a great book for sure, but 3% ACOS, and he sells quite a bit. I think our return on ad spend is $30. So that's an awesome one. And I love his because I just check his and I'm like, oh, it's still good. We're still good. All right. Now, I will say that more normal for ads, especially if you're doing high exposure ads. So these are ads where you're getting a lot of impressions, a lot of clicks, not the lower spend ads where we're trying to keep our book out there. If we're really trying to push volume, it's more likely to see around a 50% ad spend. And I'm usually happy with a 35% ads, a 35% ACOS, where we're making money, but we're getting the book out there. Keeping in mind that the goal there is not so much to make sure we're making high profit, but that we're making high sales and a profit, which is when we're trying to keep a book in searches and we're paying for that exposure, but we also want to make sure the ads are paying for themselves and the author is profiting. Again, different goals, different means. All right. And how long does a book qualify for best-selling new release on Amazon.com? Randy, last I checked, and what I'm seeing is 1 month. We're seeing a month of bestseller new release on Amazon, and then it kind of goes into the normal algorithms. Could change tomorrow. May have already changed. Today is February 5th. That's what I know as of today. We gotta love Amazon and their constant changes. All right. Terry's asking about thoughts about High Tide, a platform that converts your book into a virtual book club format. I've not worked with High Tide, Tara, so if anyone else has, it's HIITIDE, High Tide. If you have worked with that and you've got feedback for Tara, drop it in the chat and we can talk about it, but I have not personally used it. So I've seen a lot of virtual book club, a lot of programs. Some work better than others, and honestly, some books are a better fit than others is what I'm seeing with those virtual book clubs. Some of them get some lift, but it usually takes not just putting it up on that platform, but having a real book club format where you are making sure that you've got, don't just pitch a book club, give them book discussion tools, give them ways to reach you for an interview. It seems to work the best when you have a package ready to go. So you're not just saying, hey, review my book for your book club, but you're giving them meat to follow along with. You're giving them something that allows them to follow through, and it's easy, because easy is, I mean, that's what people like. Okay, and then Tara's saying she's going to give them a try, but only know one other author has used them. The club is just launching. We are seeing a lot of book apps, book clubs, and other virtual book opportunities that are just launching because of what's happened in the last year. We are seeing a lot of that kind of come through and happen. And new stuff's popping up right and left. So it can be hard to keep up with it. You can absolutely ask. You can ask in the Author Guild website. You can ask in author groups on Facebook. Put it out on Twitter and see if anyone has any recommendations. I find often that when you put it out there, just asking if people have had any experience, that can be the best. All right. Look. The sun came out. I don't know what to do. We still have snow though. We actually, all those weeks of not having snow, we then got dumped with about a foot in a weekend. Let me see. I'm gonna check my email to make sure that I didn't miss any emailed in questions. In the meantime, we're close to the end of the hour. So if you have any questions for Free Advice Friday today, drop them in the Q&A. I am actually so excited, you guys. Next week, we have a special guest who is going to be on Free Advice Friday, who is going to be on talking to us about pitching your book to schools. And her name is Jane Wood. She's fabulous. She actually just did a guest blog for us on New Shelves. I'll drop the link on there to whet your appetite. She's got some great information, but she's going to be talking to us about pitching your book to schools and how you can actually pitch a book to school, not just for kids books or fiction or anything like that, but you can actually pitch adult books to schools and how to do it and how to actually get a response from them. She's been doing this for a long time. She worked in the school system and she's just a fountain of information, which I think is awesome. And I'm going to drop in the chat, I just dropped Jane's blog that she wrote for New Shelves. If you go there, you can read up on that and then come with your questions next week because she's got so much information. I'm excited for that one. Yeah, and she has been. She's spoken at IBPA. Jane is the person to answer your questions about schools. All right. Yeah, Tara's asked about favorite Google Chrome plugins for authors. Here's the thing. There are a lot, and you kind of have to know what works for you. One of the things that has definitely worked for people is the Instant Data Scraper. That is the tool that Brian Cohen suggests that we use for pulling keywords. So a lot of people like that. There are also Chrome plugins and tools that you can use for tracking your book sales. That can work as well. I think it's book report. It's gonna come to me or someone will type it in. But so there are different things like that you can use. As far as tools and plugins, I have some. Again, I have the publishing tools from Jay Boyer that I really like. Book Report. Thank you, Randy. I know it's right there. Book Report can help you track your book sales. So that's a great thing to have, and it's got a sales and KDP dashboard. It kind of transfers over, which is great. If you, like I, have many accounts and you really need to keep your passwords tracked so that you don't go crazy, may I highly recommend LastPass. LastPass is a password keeper for all of your accounts. So if you've got a bunch of book accounts and you can't keep straight your KDP and your Ingram Spark and your Bowker and your Drafted Digital and all those other accounts, LastPass is amazing. That's a Chrome tool. It's such a lifesaver. You can even use it personally. I mean, you can use it for like your bank accounts and all that kind of stuff. So I know the notebook used to be very popular to write down, you know, all your passwords, but LastPass is, I was just going to say it's not just for older people, Bob, but Bob is also saying it's great for elderly parents, but it's so true because they can not only get into their accounts, but also it can be shared. So I could know my dad's account, and then if anything ever happened, if he just started to forget, I would be able to access his accounts as well, and it keeps the account numbers. It's amazing. But it's also great for younger people who just, you know, can't keep their head straight also. a lot of the Chrome tools that people tend to find helpful, to be honest, I can't use them, like Book Reporter and things like that. Because I log into so many accounts, it confuses those Chrome tools. So I don't use all of those. Vicky Sportelli is saying iPassword is fabulous and easy to use for Mac users. So that's good to know as well. And if you have a favorite Chrome tool, absolutely drop it in our chat so that we can talk about it. I love learning about new tools that make life easier. Tara's saying RoboForm. That's good too. All right. And I've got, so I'll let you guys, if you have more tools that you love, drop it in the chat box because I'd be interested to know. And meanwhile, I'm going to go back to Free Advice Friday because I got a question here. A question about changing your subtitle. An author that we have worked with and who we love was recently working with someone on her Amazon platform in book keywords and all of that kind of thing. And the person suggested that they change their subtitle. And so the author came to me and said, do you think, number one, it's worth it? And what all is involved if I want to change the subtitle of my book? So it used to be, at least on Amazon, that you could go in and change the subtitle of your book whenever you wanted to. It was actually a hack that a lot of authors used to update their keywords on their book often, would be to just change out the keywords on their subtitle whenever they felt like they wanted to boost. However, Amazon caught on and Amazon didn't like that. So what is now happening is that Amazon is following the rest of the book industry so that if you would like to change your subtitle, you must publish a new edition. That means a new ISBN, a new cover that has that new subtitle. It also means republishing. So just changing your subtitle is not that easy. And so when this author asked me if it was worth it to change your subtitle, I said the things we need to look at are, is this going to give you a return on investment? Does it make sense to republish with a new subtitle? And are you willing to do all that work? Is it worth the work to change your subtitle? If not, maybe you're best spending your time on a new book. If it is, then great, then go for it, go do it. But make sure you think carefully. Changing your subtitle is not the easy thing it once was. There are new rules now. So when you're picking your subtitle, number one, make sure that you're picking a good one. Know that it matters as much as your title in some cases, especially for nonfiction. And also know that while it used to be very common to switch out your subtitle, like changing your socks, it's no longer that easy. And you do have to republish a new edition to do a new subtitle. Can you add a subtitle if you don't have one? Same thing. When you're publishing under a title and a subtitle, once you put it up there, that's it. That's your book title. And then if you want to add one, you do have to republish. And again, it has to be on your cover, and there's more specifics on there that they require now. So can you do it? Yes. Does it require a new edition? Yes. Randy's saying BookLink, bklnk.com is another good one. Randy, what does BookLink do? Obviously, it has something to do with the link. I'm on it this Friday. Oh, for finding categories. That's good. We get questions about that all the time for categories. So BookLink, bklnk.com. So that's a good one. All right, you guys. I think that's about all the time we have for questions today. Again, we will be back next Friday, the 12th, with Jane Wood to talk about getting into schools. And yes, we are talking schools, specifically K through 12, but these things could also work for universities, for 12 is high school. So definitely all the way. I mean, these are all schools, university, anywhere. Jane's tips, some of them, like, they're really easy. And when she told me that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But also, oh, I wasn't really thinking about that. So she is definitely going to give us some good tips that are actionable and usable on how to get your book into schools. And we'll be back. Just know also, again, one more reminder, the New Shelves website and our emails will be down midweek this week for a couple of days. Don't panic. We're not going anywhere. We're upgrading our service so that our email can be even better. So know that's coming, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.